Good morning, good afternoon, guys, and welcome back to another Geek Tavern. As always, it's me, Shawn, and I'm joined by Mike.
Hello.
And Aaron.
Hey.
And today we'll be talking about my recommendation, which was 1994's Jim Carrey's The Mask, directed by, I literally just looked it up, I forget, Russell something. He directed...
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, he directed...
Charles Russell?
I don't know.
Chris Russell? I don't know.
He directed
Kurt
the
Russell.
1988 version of The Blob, but that's like literally the only other thing. I mean, he directed it, Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Oh, Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So those are like the only other two movies that anybody would give a fuck about that he directed.
Yeah, now that you say that, this is very much a Dream Warriors style movie.
But for those of you that don't know, this is a story about Stanley Ipkiss, a ordinary investment banker, I guess. We don't really know. He works at a bank. He's like a loser and has a normal life. And
he's basically playing the same character he played in Batman Forever.
Yeah. And a mystical mask washes up, he sees it floating in the river, and he goes in because he thinks it's like, well, it's a guy. It's like a bunch of trash that looks like a guy, and he goes in to save him, and it turns out to be a mask. He takes it home, and whenever he puts it on, he gets magical animation powers. And, he's basically trying to get the girl that he likes to like him back. That's pretty much the movie.
Which is,
Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz, yes.
Oh,
Tina something. Carlisle. Tina Carlisle.
And this is her first movie.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Didn't know that either.
Okay, at the beginning it says introducing.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there's that. I've never, I don't know. I don't know all of her movies that well. But...
Yeah.
There's something about
she
Mary.
voices Fiona in Shrek.
Oh, right. Okay. I guess I did know that.
There's something about Mary's a good one. Watch that.
Okay. This is part of the holy green trinity. Where he plays something with green.
Oh, wait, what's the third one?
The Grinch.
Oh, the Grinch,
Riddler
and the Mask.
Yeah.
And he plays all three roles perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
Even though the Grinch is viewed as one of the worst Christmas movies ever made.
To some people, I'm sure.
I was going to say,
I'm not the biggest
my sister loves it, but...
Yeah.
It's quotable.
Yeah.
Obviously, the standout parts of this movie are whenever he has the mask on and he is just the mask character.
And anything with Milo.
Yeah.
With no ears.
With no ears, yeah. He doesn't have
he doesn't have any ears, which is just weird.
Yeah.
You can see a little hump there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like rounded off.
Yeah. I mean, it is a mask, so I mean, his ears are there, but...
So he's like obsessed with cartoons. He, like, one of the first scenes that we see of him after he's done with the bank, like, Tina Carlisle comes in and is, like, pretending to flirt with him.
Yeah.
So that she can get a video recording of the vault, because she is also, like, working with the mob.
A live stream, actually.
Oh, was it?
It was live.
Yeah, because they're watching it from another, like...
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
But, so she's, like, working with the mob because she's, like, a night singer and dancer at a club. And at the mob club. And so she's working with them, but she's like pretending to flirt with Stanley, and then he goes home and he's like, oh, I'm a loser. And there's like that cartoon wolf figurine. It reminds me a lot of Tom and Jerry. But
it's from the Looney Tunes song.
Yeah.
I forget what one.
Yeah, because like above his bed he has like a Porky Pig and... Is it a Donald Duck?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But it's like he's a grown adult that just like is in love with cartoons.
And he watches them.
Yeah, he like watches them on VHS. And his landlady... Is there
a problem with watching
No.
Okay.
But it's like, I don't know. It's
I was
like
gonna say,
obsessed with them.
I can have a good Bugs Bunny run.
Investment banker by day, cartoon lover by night.
And
in more than one way.
Okay. His landlady's a total bitch.
Yeah.
That scene was pretty hilarious.
What, where she grabs the shotgun?
Yeah. He's just like bouncing around. blast.
I love that scene though. Like whenever he first puts on the mask and like oh yeah, he's like sneaking out and it's like do not disturb on his landlady's door. And
He breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah,
doesn't
he breaks the
He's
fourth wall a couple times. He looks at the camera, he's like shh, and then he's like tiptoeing and it's like making cartoon noises and a fucking animated alarm clock comes out. He pulls out this massive cartoon mallet. It's like putting holes in the ground. She comes out with a shotgun. It's just like,
And she also has a green face mask on.
There are some bits that like obviously it came out in the 90s, but like whenever like the eyes like bulge out of his head and he's like woo! Like his tongue flops
I think
around.
the CG holds up.
For the most part,
I
it's
was
not bad.
just about to say there are a couple things here, like when he gets run over by the car or whatever, and he's like steamrolled, and he gets up and he's like flattened. I was like, oh, this is that weird era of the 90s where they just map something onto like a polygonal like piece, and it looks creepy as fuck. Like think Lost in Space with Gary Oldman being the spider. They just map it, and it looks weird.
Or it reminded me a lot of Who Framed Roger Rabbit with Christopher Lloyd's character, which we've also had a discussion about. Whenever he gets run over by the steamroller, and then he literally does the same thing that he does in that movie. He peels himself off the ground.
That probably looks better, to be honest. But
in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I think that's because it was like cell animated,
right?
In Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like on each frame.
Yeah, because they did it old school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whereas in The Mask, it was like Aaron said, literally just like a digital mask that they had him do. And it was like a weird transition too, because he's up and he's like, and then it's like he shakes and he's like 3-dimensional again.
That's nice that like the transition is not jarring. It's just like, and then he's back, and it's like, oh wow, that's
it's
pretty
not
good.
like him like inflating himself, which would have been like grotesque and horrifying.
It would have been him inflating himself, and it probably would have ended up like the T-1000 walking out from the fire, and then like his like regular form like washing over the metal. Like it would have just looked weird.
Yeah, that's true. But Stanley gets like caught up with this gang because he goes. Is it that he follows his friend Charlie? Because his friend Charlie was like, "I'll take you out on the town," and
they go to the club,
and then he doesn't get in because his friend's a jerk.
Yeah, Charlie just walks right in.
Yeah, just completely ignores him.
Yeah,
and so I think after he puts the mask on, he's like, "I'm gonna go back to that club," and then he goes there and dances with, or no, he steals a shit ton of money.
I was gonna say that happens. He doesn't go to the club the first time. I think he does.
I don't remember why he stole the money. Because I
he realized he couldn't get into the club because he didn't have money.
Yeah.
So he steals the money, but then he also goes to the car place that's working on his car. And...
and shoves like the muffin in one guy's head.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
But I think that was night one. I think it's not till the second night.
That was night one.
Yeah.
And
is night one also the first night where that like other street gang like tries to fuck with him?
Yeah,
because that has like one of my favorite.
You know what? He doesn't rob the bank until the second night.
Yeah.
Because he smashes out the window after his landlady shoots him with a shotgun, and then like he's just like walking down the street or whatever, and this street gang tries to fuck with him, and he like starts making balloon animals.
yeah.
That's probably my favorite bit in the whole
Tommy
movie.
gun.
And he's like, and now this one's my favorite. Tommy gun.
He just starts shooting at them. Yeah, and then he wakes up the next morning not knowing what the hell happened.
Yeah, he thought that was a dream.
Yeah, he thought it was a dream until Boone from Animal House shows up at his door. And he's like, hey, I'm investigating something.
Like, did you hear anything about the intruder last night? He's like, intruder? It's like, you didn't hear anything. Your landlord let off a couple of slugs 10 feet from your room. How didn't you hear that?
Oh, it's an ear problem.
Yeah. And that's a secondary conflict as the police start investigating him the second night because like a piece of his like shirt gets
part of his pajamas gets shot off
because he's wearing like that suit. Yeah, it's the tie. It gets cut off and then it transforms into what he was wearing the night.
which then the FBI guy recognizes because he made a comment about his pajamas the first time he met him.
Someone stole my pajamas. Someone stole your pajamas. Nobody in their right mind would steal their pajamas.
What is the world coming to?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, so when he hits the bank, which he hits his own bank for whatever.
Oh yeah, well yeah, because he knows like.
Oh yeah, I guess
because he works there.
Yeah.
So I guess we forgot to mention that the mob guy that is gonna like he begins like a feud with is also trying to like kill his boss and become like the ruler of the city. So he like hires these guys and then they end up getting shot and killed because
the main guy that sets up the bank heist gets
shot and killed. And then that's whenever they reveal he's like, oh, that's who stole the money because the green guy.
He's up there dying and the main mob guy's like, who did this? Like holding him by the shirt. And he's like, well, actually, that guy out there.
He's the one that did it. And that was weird because it introduced like Nico was the dude's Donovan. Was that I
don't remember.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Well, so like Nico is like the main gang boss guy, the main mob guy, and then he's introduced for one scene where he's threatening Donovan to leave the town.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, fuck that. I'm going to still run. I'm going to find this mask or whatever. Dorian. What a strange name.
Yeah.
Who's implied to be romantically involved with Tina Carlisle, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty one-sided.
Well, yeah, obviously, as we see later in the movie.
Yeah, like she goes there to investigate the bank, but then she doesn't seem like interested in him any other time.
Yeah.
Like, why would she do that if she's not like actually?
Probably just so that she.
Well, they probably intimidated her.
Yeah, sing and dance at the club or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that seems like her sole motivation. And then, yeah. So after the second night, whenever he goes to the mob club, it's like, oh, like some romantic feelings start developing between the mask and Tina Carlisle, and the cops are starting to like link together that it's Stanley that's actually the mask guy, and he actually goes to Ben Stein, and he's like, "What is this mask?" Which is, I don't think the scene really is necessary in the movie, like explaining what the mask is.
Yeah.
You could have just left it at it's like some supernatural bullshit, but he's like, "What is it?" And he's like, "Well, it looks like a mask of Loki or whatever. He's a night god." This was way before like Norse mythology was like mainstream.
Yeah.
But he's like, "Oh well, I'll show you that it works," and he tries to put it on, and he's like, it's like not doing anything. He's like, "Oh well, he said it was the night god. Maybe it only works at night," which is some strange rule.
Which it does.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it only works at night. Yeah, I feel like that scene was total. Well, I guess that they had it in there because it's like, well, why doesn't he just put it on during the day? Because he could just be the mask like 24/7 instead of like only being it at night. And then what happens after that? I don't remember what happens after that.
I'm at a loss. There's like Dorian gets the mask.
Yeah, that's after. So. I think, that's what it was. Tina goes to the bank and talks to Stanley, and it's like, hey, she wanted to see him for whatever reason. It's like, I think
she wanted to give him a heads up or something. Like they're.
I think that she put it into like I think that she was kind of putting it together that he might have been the mask, and it's like, oh, and he's like, oh, I know him by the way, and it's like, oh, really? And they set up a date.
Oh, right.
And then. So the police are actively investigating him, and Dorian is like, I want him captured and brought to me before the police get to him. So he like is like, oh, okay, I'll set up a date between you and the mask at this point or whatever time. And so they go and do that, but he's like, he shows up instead, and he's like, I guess he was like, oh, gonna tell her that he was the mask, but he doesn't do it, and he gets like flat-footed, and he's like puts on the mask anyway.
Yeah.
And then he becomes really creepy, like really like I don't know. I didn't like those. That it was like really forward and pushy.
Yeah.
Well, it was like I think they were playing it as a joke, but like now you're like, oh, this is cringy.
In a park at night.
Yeah.
Alone. Like,
yeah. But after
the cop shows up.
yeah, the cop shows up because they were monitoring like
The
his
cop has
date.
a name. Calloway.
Yeah. And him and his like partner are like buffoons.
Oh yeah, what was his partner's name? I love the one every time he like yelled at him. Doyle.
Yeah, Doyle. Yeah, so they attack. Well, they don't attack him. They pursue him, but also the gang is. Or no, that's what he's running away from him, and then Peggy, who was a journalist, that was like talking to Stanley the first time, because after his bank got hit, like she showed up and was like talking to him and was like, "Do you have any idea what happened?" He's like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
But so he like takes the mask off in this alley, and she sees it, and she's like a columnist for some like relationship advice thing that Stanley had written into, which he's like real incel. He's like, why don't girls like nice guys? That was like his like column that he sent to her, and she's like, oh, I published that. And she like they set her up as like maybe another love interest, like an actual love interest, because you're like, oh, he's not gonna get with like the hot chick,
right?
But yes, she mentions like, oh, a bunch of girls want a nice guy like you. I do too. But she sees him and she's like, get in the car. And she whisks him off away to Dorian, and she like sells him out.
I wanted to mention that I thought that Tina was setting him up when they did the date thing, and then it turned out it was the journalist, not her. And it's like, oh, okay. I was like, they flip-flopped that one.
Yeah, they really flipped that one on its head, because
we don't have to talk about super long, but probably I think it's probably the most iconic scene is where he gets all the cops to dance to the whatever that song is. I forget.
Like in Ghostbusters 2016.
Oh god, no. It's like the Mamba or something.
That's what I wanted to say, but I
Mambo
wasn't
number
sure.
5.
Yeah, they dance Mambo number 5. All the cops dance Mambo number 5. Yeah, that is that. I feel like they put that scene in because it was like they needed to fill time or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's just like, yeah, we'll have a big musical number.
I
When does that happen? Right. That's when he's escaping, right? The mob place.
Well, yeah, he puts the handcuffs.
Oh no, because Dorian gets the mask after that.
Yeah, so that's you went into him getting in the car with Peggy. But that's how this scene ends. Like the cops all dance, and he gets away from Calloway, and that's when they chase him down that alley. And
yeah, so it's strange that the mask has like supernatural powers that it can impose onto other people.
Yeah, I didn't understand
because he's like dancing and like forcing like the one cop to sing.
Yeah,
like she just starts. And she's like making faces like she doesn't want to be singing.
Right.
And then like all of them start dancing and shit like that. Do you think that they're like, what is happening to me?
But all Calloway had to do was be like, stop!
Yeah, that's
all he did.
It's like, just stop dancing!
Yeah, he gets them to follow him to chase him. So I don't know the logic behind.
Yeah.
Or the
I guess it's not really supposed to be like this delve into, because it's just ultimately it's just a stupid 90s like bizarre comedy.
Yeah.
With some half-decent CGI. It's really just an excuse to get Jim Carrey to act like a buffoon that he does so expertly.
Yep.
Apparently the comics are much more
they're biased. They're biased.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean, I guess I didn't. It mentions the beginning of the movie that it was based on comics. Yeah. Yeah, in association with Dark Horse, yeah.
Yeah. No, they're fucked up.
Yeah, apparently.
I think I read like one page because it was like, you didn't know the mask was this fucked up, and I like looked at it, I was like, oh my god.
That makes sense. That like the early 90s would take something that's like ridiculously violent and messed up and made it for
I mean,
kids.
it's kind of like the Turtles, too.
Yeah. The Turtles' first couple of issues.
I mean, they killed Shredder first.
Yeah.
It's comic.
Stallone's Judge Dredd.
True.
Something ultra fucking violent turned into like a kid's movie. They could have sold kids' toys from that movie.
Or like Hellboy.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Hellboy's not like
it's pretty violent.
It's violent, but it's not like ultra. And there's violence in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but not like what it is in the actual comics.
No, but you had like people like Cronin like stabbing that guy and all his blood draining into like Rasputin's grave to like revive him.
True.
So I mean, I guess when you're adapting anything for a movie, unless you're going for the R rating, you've got to.
Which you're not going to do in the early '90s because they never wanted to go for like the R rating in the early '90s because that cut like the potential people that were going to see it in like literally like over a half because our movies didn't perform the way that they did back in the '90s that they do now.
Right.
Where it's like. I feel like they still do pretty good now, but like it was like a death sentence to some movies back early, like what 20 some years ago.
Well, people show their 4-year-olds rated R movies. So.
That is true.
Now,
well, back then they did, yeah. Like,
now you can take kids to rated R movies, and they're like, "Is he 17? No, but I'm an adult." Okay.
I would argue rated R movies back then weren't as bad as they are now.
I would agree with that for the most part.
Like Terminator, the first one was R, right?
Yeah.
But
you also had sex, extreme violence.
I guess that part was
blood.
Yeah.
Cursing.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they were much more mild.
Terminator 2 is much more mild.
That could just be
Terminator
like our like
I guess
hindsighted view.
I guess so.
Of like how fucking wild some movies are now.
Yeah.
Especially because like.
I'm trying to do Deadpool.
A movie always comes out and like pushes the bounds of what like R ratings are. Like every so many years, it's like, yeah, we're gonna push a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that becomes like a more of a standard R version. So it's been pushed so many times that obviously R ratings now are gonna be a lot more extreme than what they were back in the day.
This movie is definitely, you just said about Deadpool. This is kind of. Kind of a Deadpool of the early '90s comic book movies.
Yeah,
because he's a fourth wall breaking, wisecracking, violent in a lot of cases.
Foul.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was rated R, I mean, he'd be swearing up a storm.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Stanley mentions that the mask like brings out your like ambitions, like the person that you are on the inside, it like amplifies that by a million, which
the symbiote.
Well, also that's what the One Ring does in Lord of the Ring.
Oh, okay.
It like amplifies the wearer's like desires and ambitions. But like I would argue that the mask just like personifies that because it's a literal mask you're like putting on that face. It's like there are two masks inside you.
There should not be two masks inside you.
But yeah, so it's like
culture doctor.
It's basically like, oh, this is like this version of me.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a variant.
At the same, it's a variant. At the same side, I don't know if Stanley is like violent to his core.
Right.
He's goofy because he likes cartoons.
Yeah.
So he is violent in the way that cartoons are violent, but I don't think he's like wants to hurt people.
Right.
And
that's probably why I like the Tommy gun.
Yeah.
Like he didn't kill anybody.
Yeah, it was just like it was threatening. Yeah. And it was ultimately just like a joke.
Yeah, that's like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But inversely, I fucking forget his name already. Dorian, his mask persona is like a monster.
Yeah.
I also think it's a completely different actor.
Yeah,
because he gains like a foot and like so much girth and width.
Oh yeah,
it's almost like that. What was it? The Kevin Nash.
Yeah, the Super Shredder.
It's almost like a
giant Super Shredder.
He puts on a mask and just becomes Super Shredder.
Breaks out of the pier.
That's comical.
That is comical.
You guys laugh, but like
shit.
that, I love that.
Oh no, I just laughed because I was like, oh my god, because he just like shows him.
I mean, but that's what the use kind of does. Like,
Oh no, I know.
but
But it's just like it's funny how like he goes from just being regular to just like like
But yeah, Dorian has on the mask, and he's going to use it to like become the kingpin of the city, and he's going to kill Stanley. I forget what were they going. They're going to put him in the paper like mill that was like printing out the papers, and then I forget what happens. They don't do that. It's escaping me.
Stanley says something, and they stop the press literally.
Yeah, stop the presses.
I forget what he said or did that got him out of it, but they end up just
They bring him with him.
Yeah, they take him to the police. Oh, the money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he tells him where all the money is. Right. That's right. Because he had it, like, stashed in his closet.
Yeah, they're like, it better be there and everything.
Yeah, and then they frame him for being the mask, which he is.
He is,
but they have, like, a... I almost want to say that it's, like, literally the mask that they have, like, the cosmetic one that they use for him in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, a latex mask that they, like, throw him out of the car with. And they're like, oh, it was him. He's the mask. It's like, oh, yeah, what's this? And it's like floppy.
Yeah, it probably gets his green screen mask.
Yeah. And then he goes to the club, and he knows that Tina's working with Stan. Or I guess Peggy probably told him that, like, they were, like, meeting for a date.
Oh.
And then he ties her up to a pole.
Right.
And the whole he's going to blow up the club?
To get back at his boss, I think.
Yeah. What a bizarre ending. But Stanley shows up, and Tina like fools Dorian to like take the mask off to like kiss her.
Right.
And because it's like, oh, I'm gonna die.
One last kiss.
Yeah, one last kiss. And as soon as he takes the mask off, she kicks it, and he grabs it, and then he saves the day with his mask powers by flushing him down the toilet.
So where is he at then?
He probably went into the gross sewer and drowned or something.
Yeah.
And just by happenstance, the mayor was at this like ball,
right?
This like extravagant event gala thing, and was like, "No, he's the mask. This Stanley guy is, innocent. He saved us."
Yeah,
that's what he said. He saved us. I don't know. Yeah. It just works out perfectly.
You forgot the best part when Milo becomes the mask.
Oh, I did forget. They made a sequel. For some reason, I thought that like the dog wearing the mask was like more significant part of the movie because I think that was like in the second. I never saw the second one. It's called Son of the Mask, and Jim Carrey isn't even involved.
No, it's Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah.
And I heard bad. Oh, and Alan Cummings plays Jim Carrey's character or Loki. I don't remember who, but I remember like all I remember it was on Cartoon Network at one point when I was younger, and I watched like 15 minutes of it.
I literally have never seen it.
And it was like, it was like Jamie Kennedy was on like vacation or something. And like the clouds opened up and Alan Cumming is like, or maybe I'm confusing it with Spy Kids, but like I could have sworn that the clouds open up and he's like talking to him about the mask, and I was like, the fuck is going on here?
Ben Stein is in it though.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't have much to do. So.
That's true. He hardly had anything.
Was he out of dry eyes?
Maybe. Clear eye. Yeah, but I think that like the dog being the mask was like a significant part of that movie.
Well, that's the cover, I think, of that movie. Yeah,
because like I don't know.
And is it supposed to be Milo?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But yeah, that was that was so weird. That does not look very good in my opinion.
No,
but
no.
It is obviously.
That's probably one of the worst things, and maybe when he gets run over. But
yeah. I wonder if they sold like a shit ton of like Milo as the Mask toys or something.
Probably.
So whenever they like made the sequel, they're like, well, that's gotta be like the whole
people
movie.
Like that.
That's gotta be the whole movie because people like that.
Make sure it's a dog that looks just like him.
Yeah, that
People-
dog's been dead.
People like that, and then the producers are sitting in the theater on opening night, looking around, and like nobody says anything about the dog. Damn it!
Like George Lucas. I think we did too much.
I think maybe we did too much.
But yeah, the movie ends with like him, Tina, and Charlie just like driving in like. Did they steal like one of his cars, Dorian's cars?
I have no idea.
Yeah, they're just driving, and then they're like in suits and shit. They're like all dressed up, and Jim Carrey throws away the mask, and then Charlie jumps in after it because like he's like, oh, it got Stanley some fucking
The girl.
yeah, like, some like loser, this hot chick. So he jumps in after the mask to hopefully get a girlfriend, I guess. And that's when the movie ended. And I haven't watched the second one, so I don't know like how they explain that shit away or like what happens.
I have no idea.
But yeah, that was the early '90s wacky bullshit movie that I wanted to revisit for a while because
I love it.
I watched it a lot when I was like younger.
Me too.
So I had like forgot most of what had happened, but I remember like most of like the Jim Carrey as the mask parts. But other than that, I couldn't have given any fucks less of what happened. And I still kind of feel that way, but
I had never watched this movie.
Really?
Never.
I
And
think you said that,
and
but I forgot.
I don't know if I'll be revisiting it in the future.
you could find like a super cut of like Jim Carrey's The Mask bits, and that could just like hold
I
you.
might just watch that.
Yeah,
because he's funny as that character.
yeah.
But other than that, the rest of the movie, I'm just like,
I don't know. I don't know. I like the whole thing.
it's alright.
I mean, it's not like my favorite.
Yeah, it's definitely like a nostalgia hit for me.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Maybe if I had watched it like when I was younger,
Yeah.
I might
Yeah.
have enjoyed it a bit more. It didn't really seem like something that would have been played in my household.
No,
No. We had Austin Powers. That's about the
you prefer Roland Emmerich
masterpieces.
Masterpieces by Roland Emmerich.
That's right.
Anyway, I suppose time for ratings. I'm just gonna give it a 5 out of 10. It's like a half decent movie. I like the parts with Jim Carrey as the mask, and for nostalgia purposes, I don't want to degrade it any more than that. It's a perfectly average movie.
Yeah.
It's not like a waste of time or anything. It's not
No,
terribly long either. It's only like an hour and 20 minutes. So, yeah, 5 out of 10.
I echo that. 5 out of 10. That was gonna be my choice from the
I feel like I like it a little bit, maybe more than you guys, so I'm going to go 6 out of 10.
All right, and there we have it. We should have done green face.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Make all the alien viewers upset. Anyway, guys, that was our discussion about Jim Carrey's The Mask. Thanks for listening. We have another recommendation coming to us from Mike this time.
I got like 6 different things going on up here.
You can only pick one. Or two.
There's
They
one.
should probably coincide with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be.
I would like to
themed,
watch
I think.
this movie and the polar opposite this movie.
Wow. I don't even know. I'm gonna go with the one that we. Anyway, whatever. I'm gonna pick Wild Wild West because I don't know. I just thought of that movie because
I've been staring at those for like the entire episode. So when you said that, I was like, huh.
You know what's funny is Aaron and I had watched this pretty recently, actually.
Yeah, like probably a couple
last year.
months ago. Yeah.
I think I remember you guys talking about
And
watching
and I literally just walked in on my dad watching it last night.
it.
So yeah.
Perfect.
Well,
I haven't watched it in a long time.
This is
so-
a Barry Sonnenfeld
it
masterpiece.
is a very Sonnenfeld masterpiece. We'll get into that next. You should have recommended RV too, because we're gonna watch it anyway. So
RB2?
no, RV as well.
Sure, I have the outline for that movie.
Yeah.
Josh Hutcherson and
Jojo.
Barry Sonnenfeld won't get back to me on it.
So we got
I tweeted at them, but they still haven't got back to me.
So what you're saying is we got to do a special episode where we put out the plot of the second movie.
Yeah, exactly. This will be the second Barry Sonnenfeld movies that or at least the second Barry Sonnenfeld episode that we did because
Men in Black.
of the Men in Black films.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that they were the same.
Yeah, but so this is a childhood favorite of mine as well. If you don't want to be spoiled for Wild Wild West, I mean, how could you want that? You should watch it before next time. It's a great movie. Thanks for watching or listening, guys, to our discussion of Jim Carrey's The Mask. We enjoyed having it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Happy start to your new year.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year.
Bah humbug.
Smoking.